students, here we are going to continue with the indigenous methods that we saw in the previous episode. Now we are going to look into something called wetlands. Okay, it's a different topic altogether, but it's also related to water. By the word wet, what do you understand? That's something that's always damp. Okay, yeah, these lands are always waterlogged for most parts of the year. Okay, that means, see, when there is water, when there is low tide, maybe it is here. When during high tide, it can come up to this point. Everywhere there is water, and the water depth would be about 6 meters down. Okay, so all these plants are living and thriving in such waterlogging conditions, and so they are adapted to it. Usually, normally, if you keep your ordinary plants, if you pour a little more water, the plant will go. No, the plant will just decay. It cannot withstand. But these plants, shrubs and trees are those which are adapted to such an environment. So they are totally different. And usually this happens, they are completely saturated with water. So this is usually found in swamps, marshes. These are all called wetlands. All the time there is water, and when there is water, remember, all these dead leaves that fall into that, and they will all rot. So there is some rotten things that are here under the water, and so ultimately what happens, the oxygen level here is also less under the water. But even under such conditions, these plants are able to thrive, these trees are able to thrive. These are called as wetlands. Okay, now these wetlands, what is the significance of these wetlands? There are many wetlands in our country, and what is the significance of these wetlands? If you see in the wetlands, this is just for your understanding, I have drawn this. But generally in the wetlands, you have a dense growth of plants and trees. Okay, wherever there is a dense growth of plants and trees, see, in the area where we live, we used to have a lot of trees, and from the morning, say about 5:30, we can hear the chirping of birds. Okay, so there are different kinds of birds, and we wait for them. Sometimes some bird turns up at 4 o'clock, some bird turns up in the morning 5 o'clock, some bird is in the evening, and different kinds of birds you can see. Now similarly here, when there are more numerous trees and shrubs and plants, the number of animals and birds are also much larger. Okay, so you have a wide variety of flora and fauna. Flora means plant kingdom, all the different kinds of plants, and fauna it refers to the animals. Okay, so you have a wide variety like this. Okay, that's the first significance. Second one, so there is a biodiversity, rich biodiversity is there. All right. See, this is near the water. Usually, when there is an earthquake, when there is a tsunami, what happens? It's all on the shores, no? The water just comes into the inside the land through the shores. Now, if the shore contains this as a barrier, then isn't it a protective measure? It's like a blanket that protects. It's like a barrier or a wall that protects. Okay, so there is a shoreline safety. Because of this, not only shoreline safety, even in normal days, when the water keeps coming up and down, the soil will also get washed off. But here, when you have a thick vegetation present here, the soil is just held back. So it prevents soil erosion. Okay. The next one, when you have a lot of trees, as I told you just now, a lot of birds keep coming. Now what happens in the shores especially, there will be a lot of migratory birds. So it's a breeding ground for migratory birds. I'm sure nobody is going to build a house over there. So human beings are not going to disturb them. So when there is no disturbance, where there is no disturbance, it becomes a breeding ground and nesting ground for migratory animals and birds. Because these organisms, they need a place that has no disturbance and a place that is quiet. No one will come and harm them, so it's a very good place for a breeding ground for such organisms. Okay, the most important part of this is that they also act as sponges. Have you held a sponge in your hand? Yes. Where there is water, you just put it inside, it absorbs all the water. Okay? When there is no water, this water is let out. So that is how these wetlands are. They act like sponges. So when the water inflow is more, it will absorb all that excess water. When the water inflow is very less, it releases all this water. So that's how it works as sponges. So these are the important thing about wetlands. Okay. Now we move on to something called Ramsar Convention. What is this convention about? It's the International Cooperation for Conservation of Wetlands. See, as the population increases, as industries start increasing, as pollution becomes more, what happens? These wetlands become lesser and lesser and lesser. If they become lesser, what will happen to all this? Is completely gone. So the threat is that flora is gone, fauna is gone, there's no breeding ground. Then will we have migratory birds and animals? No, we will not have migratory birds and animals. They would come, but then they cannot thrive, they cannot multiply, okay, they cannot breed, and then there is soil erosion and there is no safety in the shores. Shoreline safety is not there. So just to prevent all that, this convention came up in a place called Ramsar in Iran. Okay, in that place, during that time, about 60 countries signed up, and it was in 1971, and in 1982 India also signed up to be part of this convention. What they do is they identify wetlands and they name it as Ramsar sites. Even our Chilka Lake, even that is part of it. Actually there are 6 lakes that have been identified in India as wetlands or Ramsar sites. Now what is the responsibility of each country that signs up here? They are supposed to look after those wetlands and to protect them and monitor them so that they are not encroached, okay, and deforestation doesn't happen, and the birds are not chased away or they are not hunted down, but they are protected. So that is the work, or that is the significance of Ramsar Convention, basically to protect all these wetlands. And there are many numerous wetlands that are now protected, and they continue to be good sites for all these flora and fauna. Okay, so with that we complete this episode. Now we move on to the next one about rainwater harvesting, that is the modern methods, in the next video. So till then you stay tuned, okay, and if you like it, don't forget to share or subscribe to this channel. Bye bye.